Welcome back to Sports Talk Podcast 81 with me, John Vic. And apparently this is going to be a long video, but it's going to be in three parts here because I missed the day. And I do apologize for that. On the 29th, we're going to go from yesterday. Countdown. 29th, which was a Wednesday, NHL playoffs. Pittsburgh Flyers won, which I'm grateful they won. 1-0 against Pittsburgh. By the skin of their teeth, they won in overtime. And it came down to the wire, apparently. It went through everything else in between. They're in the playoffs. They're in the Final Four, so that would be very interesting to do. The second game here on the 29th was Canadiens and Lightning. Canadiens won their game 3-2. Lightning lost. They're out. But it's good enough to see both teams from Philly and Tampa Bay coming to the game and working on their way out. But on the 28th, which I missed, I had to cut this in two parts, actually. Game 1, Bruins. And this is on the 28th. This was the second week of the playoffs, of the stretch of it. Game 1, night 1. Well, game 1 was early in the night. Bruins was one. I'll have to think about it. Yeah, Bruins 1, Sabres 6. And Sabres really brutalized them. That they went tit for tat with them, though, in the whole thing. But they could never stand a chance. I mean, this was like a blowout between the Bruins. And it was like, where can you really go wrong with game 1 of the 28th of April and have a blowout between the Bruins? And the Bruins do kind of suck. But making it to the playoffs, I was surprised. They made it. So, kudos to them that made it. I mean, it's been so long. Now, game 2, which is half that night, were the Wilds and the Stars. Wilds won 4-2. Apparently, they got in it more than anything else. And game 3 of that same day, on the 28th, it was Anaheim Ducks versus the Oilers, Edmonton Oilers, 4-1. So, you think about these last couple of games that we just mentioned for the 28th. Those were pretty decent games, despite the fact that they would. And then they did play their hearts out. You know, they did. They got eliminated through there. So, I think the Oilers, and I gotta relook at the options. But the Oilers have made it to the playoffs, so it's like the Final Four of the playoffs to make it in their division. But then you have Pittsburgh Penguins versus the Flyers. And Pittsburgh fought back hard, very hard, that they did all right, but it was like at 7 p.m. it started. You know, you couldn't really deny it. They fought tooth and nail, puck for puck, hit for hit. I mean, with the hockey sticks. It was a huge advantage to this game. There was a huge advantage to the game. There was not any doubt in my mind it was going to be a blowout game. But in a way, it got a blowout. They scored, as I recall, I think they scored at the last second in overtime and won the game there. As I recall, they went tit for tat for all 3 periods, scoring with no scores. And these are teams that are really into it. Now, Philly's in the playoff spot. Kudos to them. The Canadians couldn't really do it. The Canadians beat Laney 3-2. They're in the playoff spot. So, there are two teams that are very, very good. And to it. Now, these two teams do go to the Stanley Cup. They might be able to do it. I mean, they might be able to do it. I mean, there's no other way to litify it, you know. I mean, what's stopping them? You know, what's stopping Philly from getting to the Stanley Cup? You know, they're going to fight tooth and nail until they get to the Stanley Cup. You know, very often you see teams not scoring through the whole period and going to overtime, 0-0, going to overtime like that, and being scoreless throughout the whole game, but scoring overtime. But I can't remember. I got to rewatch the highlight again on this. It was like, the 1-0 against the Penguins, Philly could have lost it. At least they're going to the Stanley Cup, and it's been almost... me and my Aunt Rose were talking about this. Apparently, we were talking about this. And apparently, we thought about it. It's been almost 30, 40 years for them to go to the playoffs. And she said something about back in 80 something. We did the research on Google, but it was like, how far could they go with any idea that the Philadelphia Flyers are going to go to the Stanley Cup? They're determined to go. I mean, they came close, but it was like, you can't really deny that when they wanted to go to the Stanley Cup and they want to really go. It's like you can't really go tit for tat. So, but I have a fine feeling they are going to go to the Stanley Cup. So I think the Oilers are in it. And I think the Wilds are in it. But I think the Wilds have another game to play. Philly is definitely in it. And then Philly and the Canadians are definitely in the Final Four spot. For the game itself, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, but the final outcome, if they do go to the Stanley Cup, I mean, it's kudos to Philly, you know, for doing this. But yeah, we were arguing about that. We were debating on when was the last time Philadelphia Flyers went to the Stanley Cup. I mean, if you're a Philadelphia fan, you would know. I mean, if you're born in that decade, or you've read the history, or you knew about the history, you would know when they went to the Stanley Cup. But this is like huge for Philadelphia Flyers. They're huge right now in the game of hockey. They go to the Stanley Cup. They won a couple of Super Bowls, yes, but that's only in the NFL. They won 2 Super Bowls back to back. And going back to hockey, NHL, to get to the Stanley Cup, it's amazing how they can do it. You know, it's like, and I said to myself, even when it's the middle of the season, can Philly go to the playoffs, go to the Stanley Cup? What's the old saying? Because of what you wish for, you might just get it. But no, I couldn't eat my own words with it, you know. For Philly, it's been almost 50, 60 years for them. My uncle Joey's like in his 50s almost. My Uncle Bud, he just turned 60 before he passed away. And I think Joey, my Uncle Joey, that's still alive, he's in his 50s, I would say. My Uncle Bud is 60. That would make... yeah, close to 50 years for both my uncles. Even if my Uncle Bud was never a hockey fan, but my Uncle Joey was. Surprising. You know, so yeah, I would say about almost 80 years total combined that they haven't been to a Stanley Cup. Let me know in the comments down below if you're a Philly fan. I mean, let me know how long that Philly hasn't gone to the Stanley Cup and when. Or made it to the playoffs. It has to be in that range. Between my uncle's age, my Uncle Joey's age, which is still alive, then my Uncle Bud, God rest his soul, that just turned 60, it has to be in that range. So, you gotta think that they earned that spot in terms of going to the Stanley Cup. Yeah, this was huge for them. This was very huge. I liked it. You know, I'm happy for Philly. Close game. Went in overtime, but... and it was a huge way to end the game. You know, 1-0. That was a close game in overtime. It could have gone to a shootout. You know. Lightning almost won, but they were... but the Canadians kind of scored 3-2 apparently, and that ended the game quick. And basically Philly and Pittsburgh didn't finish until midnight. They didn't finish until midnight. It was around 11:30 they finished. Tit for tat, vice versa, something like that. You know, you can't really deny that. But on the 28th, they were pretty close games too. You had the Wilds and Stars 4-2. And then you had Bruins, which is 6-1. That was a pretty terrible game for the Bruins because it was like they lost overtime. But on game 3 of that, you had, but going back to this, we had the Oilers and the Ducks going at 4-1. So it's like, you had pretty close games. I mean, these teams will go lengths. They can go for. You know, you can't really deny what they're going to do. But kudos to Philly for getting there. Close game, but good luck at winning the Stanley Cup. Okay, that's all I got for time for today. For Sports Talk Podcast 81. John Vick signing off. Thank you for talking. This was a long video. I hope you guys enjoy it. I'm out here for now. So until next time, keep watching sports. See ya.